on. Where
Oh,
am
they
I?
received.
Yeah,
They received.
yeah. Sorry, I've just been eating my lunch because it's the time difference. I'm out on the Pacific coast, so
It's three.
yeah.
3 there, right? Or 2.
There. Sorry. Drink my tea.
Folks are saying hello to you in the chat box. I don't know if you see it there.
And what did you want me to do, Lanisha, if anything?
Yeah, of course. I mean, people want to hear. Folks want to hear from you. What you're up to. I think you're very busy. That'd be exciting to learn. And then also, I thought it'd be interesting, just given the presence of different groups internationally. I think we've historically within IE always have had some version of that. But I feel now with the technological advancements we have, we can connect more easily. So if you can speak to just the possibilities, I guess, of us all coming together. And it would be nice also to hear about the history of how IE came to be in SSSP as like the home of most of us gathering, most of us scholars gathering. If that makes sense. So
you want me to talk?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a prepared talk. I have been thinking about, well, Lanisha just said maybe I should talk about what I'm up to. I'm not doing research these days. This is because I wouldn't, you see, I'm 94, so I wouldn't be able to get any money to do research. And I don't have a lot of time because I do have to spend rather a lot of time up sort of looking after myself and napping and that kind of thing. But I have been working with Alison Griffith, and we had put together what we called a book called Simply Institutional Ethnography. And we have this image of ourselves as two old ladies who are reflecting on what we have learned from our experience of institutional ethnography, which is not necessarily absolutely comprehensive. It's not necessarily everybody's experience by any means, but we decided to write a book. Well, sadly, during the period that we were working on it, Alison had a recurrence of her cancer, rather a bad one. And in the fall of last year, in September, she chose to die. And she was not able to participate very much in the making of the book in the last year or so, although she read it and made comments and, was part of it. But she was very happy to learn that it was more or less finished before she died. And it is more or less finished. I want to make some changes in the last chapter, and I still have to get the reviews that the reviewers have written and find out what changes are wanted by the publisher. But at the moment, it looks like it's all set with the University of Toronto Press, and will go forward. And it's not anything super remarkable or new. It's just, as I say, our discovering of what we had learned and what we learned in the course of our discussions in writing the book. But I had decided that I wanted to rework some of the last chapter to talk about some of the directions that institutional ethnography might go in. And this is partly also because the last time I was at the SSSP meetings, which I forget now where that was, but it was in Montreal, actually. And yes, it was in Montreal. And I felt that we needed in institutional ethnography to be more fully recognizing the kinds of capacities that are opened up ethnographically as we recognize the way in which what we do in terms of investigating, exploring with people, their experience of their work that they do and how their work coordinates with that of others, that as we incorporate the texts that are so significant in organizing, and of course these are now electronic texts as much, perhaps even more than those that are in some form of print, but to begin to recognize how texts enter into the coordinating of how things are people are putting together things, enables us to reach ethnographically way beyond what can be done by observation and direct experience and connection. So I think it's very important, by the way, I might add, not to isolate texts from what people are doing with them, but it does offer the possibilities of entering into aspects of the governing and ruling processes of the society that are not available, I think, to other kinds of approaches in sociology. And it's in a region, I think, that we need to think of exploiting more. That if we think about policy just in the abstract, well, no, that's not so very interesting. But if we think about what is going into the making of policy, that is something that people are doing. That is work. That is something that people will be able to talk about if, of course, you can get access to them, which is one of the problems. But I want to open up, I think, the possibility of thinking of the everyday of the kind of work that goes into the making of policy. I was rereading, Lauren Eastwood has a book. Now, you have to forgive me, I think it's, I forget its title, it's a social organization. It's investigation of the negotiations that have been going on in relationship to the environment in the United Nations. And she has been tracking these for about 10 years and has written this very interesting book. Her name is Lauren, Lauren, Eastwood, Eastwood, and you can locate her book, and you'll have to forgive me if I forget the title right now. But it does she makes observations of what she sees in the kind of various little groups that she participates in, and it suggests that there are ways that we can enter into and begin to explore that go beyond what a lot of the time we find ourselves perhaps getting even stuck in the kind of ordinary everyday lives. Because these kind of processes that people are involved in, the social relations that organize kind of sequences of action within the complex of these relations, are ones that we can explore. We know how to do this kind of work, and we need perhaps to begin to think of extending the scope of what we can find out and what we can learn, because I think we have very significant discoveries to make that are extremely useful and significant for people as they begin to seriously take up the issues of change. Now, how this applies in this present situation with the pandemic, I have not certainly thought that through. And I think that that's a very difficult one, and something that, in some sense, because the kind of organization is not already there, and we don't know exactly how it's going to work out, particularly, I think, at the kind of global level. But we should not feel that we have lacked the capacity to begin to explore aspects of global organization as it is being brought into people, now as it is being brought into being by actual people and actual people's work. And the notion of work, as you probably know, is not the ordinary one that means the kind of work we do that we get paid for. It is this generous conception of work which recognizes fully what we do, that we mean to do, that takes time and effort and perhaps thought, and that gets things done in a whole variety of ways that have the potential for our discoveries of aspects of how things are being put together that are not really seriously visible when they explored in other, and to incorporate the kinds of recognition of the texts that enter into and organize what people do. And of course, that they not just texts that they read and follow, but ones that they actually begin to develop, but that actually enter into the generalizing capacities that we recognize in institutions. So I just want to encourage people to recognize the potentialities of institutional ethnography. This is not a set of instructions on this is how you have to go, but it is to say we are opening up regions. Well, now let me just use a little, sort of more like a metaphor here. That is, I think of Jane Goodall observing, I'm just actually reading one of her books, observing the chimpanzees in Tanzania and learning and discovering how their lives are organized, how they eat, how they get along, how they fight, how they dominate, etc., etc., etc. And at the same time, reading this is fascinating because the work is all done by observation and listening and connecting as she advances in her work. And but there is this whole missing piece. It is as we turn to look at the primates that we are, that there is this missing piece that is this dimension of an organization of our activities and our lives that is mediated textually. And this textual mediation, of course, with the new technologies that have been developed as the computer has advanced, has extended and become, in some sense, more totally powerful. And indeed, we need, I think, I was quite a while ago was reading what Marx had, his thinking on money, and the kinds of ways in which he saw it as a kind of an abstracted mode of connecting among people. And this something that we too need to keep in mind. We haven't engaged in what is the province of economics, and I'm not in a simple way suggesting that we should, but I am suggesting that we can begin to discover aspects of how things are organized, particularly those that involve the new sort of forms of management that are being advanced. And we have things to discover that, and we should not hold back from these forms, these discoveries that we can make. This is not the only thing that we need to do, because of course we need always to be working with and for people who are need to have aspects of their lives opened up that they themselves are not able to see. And that's not their personal lives, but it is that what they're caught up in that is not fully visible to them. But that notion that I'm putting forward now is an extension of that, because we are more and increasingly caught up in aspects of organization at levels of management and administration that are international, and that we don't fully understand how they're put together, how they enter into our lives, and how they shape them. So I just want to encourage you not to stop what you're doing, because I know that you're doing, fascinating and interesting and valuable things, but to see that there are these other kind of connections that you may be making visible, and don't hesitate to pursue them. Anyway, that's the last chapter. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Dorothy, for that. Would you be able to speak to, and I'm not sure, I reached out to a few folks, and Paul, I'm gonna enable your video if you want to hop in here, Paul Lucan, to speak to the history of IE within SSSP, and like how we came to be there as a division.
I don't know that I have a very good recollection of the history of this connection. The moment I remember most clearly is actually also a meeting in Montreal, and it was after Paul Lucan had taken this initiative of creating what is it called, a division, or within the SSSP that was the presence of institutional ethnography. I mean, Paul Lucan has done amazing things in this way in relationship to institutional ethnography. He initiated its establishment as a division within the International Sociology Association, and now he and Suzanne Vaughan are putting forward, publishing this handbook, which I think will be extremely valuable. So I do remember that Paul essentially was the creator of the division within the SSSP. I forget the dates, but I do remember this meeting in Montreal because it was very striking. The president of the then president, and again, I forget his name, came and spoke to me, and in a sense was sort of thanking me as somebody who had been, in the foundation of institutional ethnography. Because all of a sudden, there were all these people coming and making presentations and entering into and getting involved in the SSSP at a time, I think, when perhaps it had been feeling that it was somewhat thin. And to have this presence at the Montreal meetings, because of course you also had a lot of Canadians, probably for the first time in the SSSP, it had a kind of Canadian complement that was significant. And that was very exciting. And that was, I think, at the time, now I forget the date that Janet Rankin and Marie Campbell spoke Managing to Nurse, but I associate that meeting in Montreal with the publication of that book. And I had just read it, and I found that it was a most remarkable step for institutional ethnography to take, because it was exploring like how these new forms of management entered into the kind of local work of nurses in British Columbia, in a British Columbia hospital. And I think that to me, that was a very exciting move, because it made visible some of the potentialities of institutional ethnography. And to have that moment come together with the opening up of a division, if that's the right word, in the SSSP was very exciting. And I think that it has proved to be something that is of real significance for us.
Great, thank you. Did you want to share anything else with us? That was perfect. Didn't have to be a prepared talk.
You want me to? I don't have really anything else to say. I'd like to really hear, I think, from others now.
Yep. If folks can write in the chat box, if you're able to turn on your audio, or if you want to speak in response to what Dorothy has offered us, then please do so. Paul, we can't hear you if you're trying to talk. Now we can, yes.
Good evening.
Nice.
Right.
Hi, Paul.
Up for the meeting. Okay. Yeah, one thing that was clear going to meetings prior to having this division, if one was making a presentation that dealt with institutional ethnography, you had to spend all your time just saying what institutional ethnography was, just because the people who were, at the sessions didn't know much about it. And so it became clear that we needed to have some means of bringing together people who were doing IE. And I got to say, Tim Diamond was very involved with SSSP at that time too. And he was sometimes putting together some special sessions dealing with IE. And that helped to, put the groundwork together. And actually it was in 2003 at a meeting here just down the road from me in Atlanta. Nancy Jurek was the president at the time, and I'd been communicating with her, and she suggested that yes, SSSP would be probably welcoming to an IE division. Because I remember then going, and Dorothy sitting there and saying, here's what Nancy's saying, and Dorothy said, do it. So we put together a petition, and the rest is history. It was a very easy organization to work with, and I think that it's while the IE division is certainly not the largest division within SSSP, it is certainly the most active and most energetic. So I think it's been good, and when we first put it together, we didn't know, would we just be there for 3 years or 5 years or what? But like I said, that was 2003, so it's been a long time now. So
Yeah. Well, it's
Awesome.
great what you brought about, Paul. Wonderful.
yeah. Well, everybody jumped on board. That was a wonderful thing.
So there was no pushback. So it made it it was copacetic to work together with them.
Oh,
And
SSSP was very easy. ISA was another matter, but SSSP was very easy.
Paul, do you recall the year?
Yeah, that was 2003.
Okay.
At the meeting, we just put together a petition, and then the board had a meeting, and they said, we're in. It was simple. It was very simple.
Okay, awesome. Marj and Rajmi, you wanted to say something here. You should activate your audio, or it's allowed to be activated, but jump in. I'm seeing a question in the chat box. So essentially what we did to start the meeting is we started with Dorothy, and she started speaking, and in a few minutes, once we have this initial discussion, we're going to jump into the agenda and a PowerPoint. But I did want to have folks respond to Dorothy. My name is Lanisha Adams, and I'm the current division chair of the Institutional Ethnography Division at SSSP. This is our business meeting, and we're 20 7 minutes in, but we will get to the structured agenda. I think Marge is speaking next.
Well, I was just going to add another anecdote from the early days of the IE division in SSSP, because I remember that they generally put all the business meetings in a big room with a few tables, because usually only 2 people showed up for the business meetings. But the IE folks had 30 people who wanted to come to the business meeting. And it's because the business meetings always were full of good substance, like this introduction with Dorothy. So hi, everybody, and thank you, Dorothy, for the really thoughtful comment about, you know, how we might be thinking about addressing this this moment we're living in. And I have to say I'm retired and I'm not doing a lot, but I've recently been thinking I just want to get back to doing some writing. So I need to finish that SSSP paper that I didn't get to deliver this year. That's all.
Once folks pop on video and you're done speaking, if you can turn off the video, then we can allow other folks to hop on. Marie Campbell, did you want to add a piece here? Not sure if you're unmuted. And I just want to open the floor to anyone else who wants to respond to Dorothy's initial opening remarks.
This is Rashmi from Toronto.
Hi, Rashmi.
Thank you very much for coordinating this. It's lovely to hear from everybody. I just wanted to thank Dorothy for your comments at the start, and also to hear the anecdote about how the IE division came to be as part of SSSP, because since 2017, when I attended in Montreal, this is the community that has given me the strength to continue with my work. I began my MEd with Allison at York University, and I worked with my MEd thesis with mothering work of South Asian women. And when I started my PhD, by then Allison had moved to BC and I wasn't able to work with her. I'm currently doing my PhD at Boise, and I've been in touch with Dorothy over the years through the IE workshop that you've given with Susan Turner, and also meeting everyone at the SSSP divisional meetings and just staying in touch. Had it not been for this community, I would have been nudged away from doing my IE. So I'm very, very thankful. For the support and all the guidance, because everything you have written stands with me when I do this work. So thank you.
Rashmi, and welcome. I think I hear Marie Campbell. Are you speaking?
No, I'm not speaking. Am I speaking now?
Not yet. I hear something. You're speaking now. So, hello.
Hello, Dorothy. Hello, everybody. I don't have anything big to say. Just it's really nice to see your faces, hear your voices, and know that you're there. Bye bye. Thanks, Lanisha.
Of course. Awesome. All right, Dorothy, I'm gonna, or everyone, I'm gonna share my screen here, and we're gonna hop into our meeting, our business meeting. Do folks see a PowerPoint, a presentation, a slide deck? Just doing a pulse check. Not yet. No. The joys of technology here. I'm going to upload this. I'm uploading the deck as a handout, which you'll see in a couple of minutes here. It's showing that it's going to show my screen, but the first item on the agenda was related to welcome and introductions, which we've covered, and the next item has to do with the division elections. So at the end, in 2021, when we have that annual conference, my chairship will end, and we'll have a new chair, and the terms are for 2 years. This fall, we'll need to go through a nominations process. And I just want to say that one of the primary benefits of being the chair of the division is being able to lead it and to serve as the steward of the annual conference. At last year's meeting, we discussed, having an additional incentive, being free conference registration while the person is serving as chair. So that way, folks would be excited about doing it and receive some kind of additional reward, not a monetary stipend, but not having to cover that expense. We have to, according to SSSP rules, nominate 2 people. And historically, we've had this practice, I guess, of one person from the US and then one person from Canada every other year rotating chairship, or every other election cycle rotating chairship. I think one of the suggestions that I would like to put forth and discuss is, maybe we can abandon that practice because unless it just so happens someone from Canada this year wants to be the next chair, then that would be great. But what if, we just kind of operate under the practice of whomever is most passionate about furthering the connection and growing the SSSP membership and connecting with the other divisions and representing us as IEers in the organization, then they're the chair. So I wanted to sort of just start that off as an idea, as a point of discussion, and then to elicit suggestions for folks who might want to be the next chair or run, because we really have to hold the election in the fall. By November 1st, we have to put forth the 2 nominees. So I'll pause there. Folks, everyone's audio should be enabled. And yeah, let me know what you think. Folks are chatting in the chat box, but if you want to speak, you can, or verbally, you can turn on your audio. You should be able to do that.
I don't know what to do. I'm going to Got some more tea.
Janet is asking in the chat box. About who's in attendance in the meeting. So if folks could say in the chat box, that'd be great. But I'll read off the names as they wrote them when they signed up. Astrid from Germany, Catherine, Cheryl, Canada, Colin Hastings, Dorothy Smith, Eleni, Eric, Gina, Henry, Janet Rankin, June, our student paper award winner, Katie, Lauren Eastwood, Marie Campbell, Paul Lukin, Rashmi, Suzanne Vaughn, and myself. Marge, hello again. No one is suggesting any names at this time. Maybe we mull it over a little bit and I can send a follow-up email to revisit this item, but this is a really huge one because essentially after November, they'll want to get all of the names of the next chair. And then if we miss that window, we'll have to run an election outside of their normal cycle. And what we don't want is to not have a chair coming in because like I can't serve as chair for an additional year. That's one of their rules. And so Lauren, no one has expressed interest so far. And I know at the last meeting we talked about it, and I was revisiting the minutes, and you know, no one came forward or expressed interest there either. So I'm not sure how we collectively solve this problem, but I feel like it's a really big sort of hot topic. Yes. So someone's asking me to remind folks of what the duties are. So essentially, the primary role is to organize, to make sure that the annual conference goes off successfully, and to represent IE at all of the business meetings for the entire SSSP. And there are some meetings throughout the year that you'll have to attend, but at the conference itself, that's where it's the most intensive over the course of the conference meeting days. So say for 2021, the new person is elected. The new person's elected this year. In 2021, when we meet, they would attend meetings and then the reins would be handed over at the conference itself. And then from that point forward, the chair would be attending meetings, organizing the session, making sure the topics that are expressed in the business meetings are represented in sessions at the annual meeting, at the following year's annual meetings. That's the primary role of the chair, and to really make sure you know, IE is represented and our concerns are heard, and our interests are really you know, listened to by the main office at SSSP. And if folks want to speak like verbally, you can just click at the bottom of the screen. You should be able to see mic, and like a video, and you click the mic and you can just talk. You don't have to download anything or do anything additionally to speak verbally. Janet, I think I hear you.
Hi, yeah,
on.
this is me, Janet. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to add that in terms of the organizing of the sessions at the SSSP conference, each one of the sessions actually has a lead organizer. And so they gather the papers and review and determine who's going to be in the session. So it's not up to the div chair necessarily to organize all the sessions, but the div chair sort of just oversees the titles of the sessions and sees the papers coming in. So it's really not onerous to be the div chair. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Suzanne Vaughn is suggesting Colin might be interested. Colin, is Colin here? Yeah, Colin is here. Hey, Colin.
Me for this, and apologies for my hesitancy to jump in and respond right away. Lauren's acknowledging that I tried to duck out of the meeting last year too when this came up. I'm more than happy to help support in this role any way I can. I'm a little bit hesitant just because I'm starting a new role this coming year, a new position, and not quite sure what that'll entail. But it's nice to know that the final decision doesn't have to be made until the fall. So Lanisha, maybe we can continue this conversation in the coming weeks and go from there, if that's okay. And again, sorry to be kind of wishy-washy on this.
No, you don't want to overcommit. I think I was very hesitant for some time, and because I knew I was planning a family, and I have a 2-year-old and now a 2-month-old. And I definitely will say that it becomes more intensified around the conference time. But other than that, it's very low lift. But so we should continue the conversation. Catherine is saying she's looking very much forward to the book that is coming out, and she's a PhD student from the UK in the chat box. But and Catherine, you can hop on audio here if you'd like to say something when we're during the meeting. Anyone can. But Paul Lucan also is suggesting Mike Corman, who might be a possibility. I'm not sure if he's a SSSP member. Paul, do you know who is institutionally?
See, Eliza would know which one. I always forget the name of it.
Okay.
Lanisha, it's Eric. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Can you explain, are there others who would be working with the chair? Often, it's a bit daunting for someone to volunteer for a single position like this, but if they knew that they were part of a team of people who are working together, that might make it a little easier. Can you explain whether there are other positions that are, that work alongside you in your role as chair?
Yes, absolutely. So we have an informal team. I definitely think we should kind of memorialize this. Lauren, I really wish you could get on the audio so we can talk to you. But essentially, Lauren, Eastwood, and Naomi are the team. They're the sort of welcoming team. They have institutional knowledge about the chairship, about SSSP and all of this. And also Paul Lucan is a sort of a really great guide for any of the tricky things related to SSSP. But essentially, any questions about anything related to the chairship that I've had, Lauren and Naomi have served in that role and very supportive. Like I spoke with kind of at length with Lauren about this meeting and about the agenda items, and just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then I, as the former chair, would be part of that welcoming party, and also open to having conversations and making sure nothing is missed, helping the transition, I've taken all of the documents that have been shared with me and I've put it into a shared drive, a Dropbox folder. So, and there are things you have to create that you don't want to have to recreate. Like every year we have to do a budget for the conference. That's already in you just change the numbers and add your name. That's already ready to go, add your letterhead. So I'm happy to be part of that transitioning team and welcoming party and also support, because you're right, like it is, you wouldn't know like all of the components without someone guiding you through the process. And I think, I don't know, Lauren, I see Lauren in the chat here, will be part of that team. Naomi's not here, but I'm sure any institutional knowledge she has about the process and about the chairship, and then me as the most immediate former chair, that have been like the greatest support that I've had. So, and we would pass that on to the next chair. Eric, does that address your point?
To be clear, there's no executive that works alongside you. So it's not the organization or the governance of the IE division within SSSP does not involve like a chair, a vice chair, a secretary.
No.
That kind of thing. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
No. All right. So we have two names. We have Mike Corman, we have Colin. And if folks have other ideas, please email me or put in the chat box as we're talking, and maybe someone else will come to mind who would be really great in the role. But I'll circle back with our entire list of members, because we'll need to kind of make sure we have at least 2 nominees. And I think as we go forward, I think we need to be thinking about how we encourage other folks to be the chair and what we can do to make it exciting and encourage folks. I mean, last year's meeting, we said, okay, you get the, free, everything is covered, at least for the registration for the conference. But there is an ask related to the role, and I'm not sure how one convinces others to really take it on. So I think we'll have to be thinking about this so that we don't lose anyone. Can I send out a call for nomination? Yes, it can. I'll do that via the email. Awesome. I take it that my screen never shared, but within I have a deck, and it will be sent out at the end, but we can have the discussion without seeing everything. Well, the next item that I had on the list for things to discuss was related to the IE workshop for 2021. The theme, I thought, I reached out to Susan Turner to be one of the main sort of organizers, leaders of the workshop. And at this moment, she's not committing to anything because there's so many unknowns, and there's a few things on her docket that she doesn't want to overextend herself. But we'll be in communication, and I'm sure in planning the workshop, we'll have some really great speakers and other folks sort of helping to lead this. But one of the themes for next year's workshop, which is scheduled for Monday, August 9th, the day after the conference, is challenges and solutions when applying IE. So the thinking behind this was related to sort of when we're applying IE in some contexts, there is always some barrier that you have to overcome. And it can kind of trip you up. The committee members might be one, maybe application in non-academic settings is another, maybe analyzing the data, like all of the data, maybe you have too much, you don't know where to start, or mapping ruling relations, etc. Those might be challenges that you have. And so we thought in years past, we've had workshops that were where you had participants who would submit an idea where they would get feedback, and then seasoned IEers would lead these discussions, and we would have observers participating. And in the current context of everything, Lauren and I were speaking this morning about this idea, and it's in the notion of like a learning pod, right? Where you really have, instead of it just being related to the one topic of one's work, it's related to the problem area in which they're really trying to solve. And so this is kind of like the draft idea of how we are thinking about the workshop, but we're still in the initial stages of planning it for next year. Susan really, in writing to me, she really emphasized, mapping in both the design and also the carrying out of research, and how the mapping part is integral to all of the research processes in IE. And so I know, Dorothy, you and Susan have done these workshops in Canada together, but I think this idea would be very strongly represented in the workshop for next year in Chicago. So I'll stop there to see if folks have ideas, maybe any other suggestions about this IE workshop. But we really have a great attendance last year, and then the year before that, we had a very strong attendance of folks. So and even before the conference was canceled, we had about 10 or 12 registrants. So I think this workshop always shows interest from folks. And so I'm eager to have the nuts and bolts of it planned ahead of time to start advertising it. So even if we don't know what 2021 looks like in in-person gathering, we could perhaps do a virtual version. So I'll pause there to see what other people think. And monitor the chat box. Following.
Those ideas for the workshop. I think it's smart to start planning it in advance. It's always, I think, designed as to have some flexibility so that people can bring whatever they're grappling with to the workshop, but to have it sort of led, I think it's a really good idea.
Awesome, thanks. Catherine is saying that to attend virtually would be welcome, and that's what I've heard from quite a few of our international scholars. I picked 5 p.m. as a time, but and it's amazing that Catherine's here with us so late over there. But folks have expressed interest to participate, virtually next year, and we have a virtual component to the annual meeting. But I thought it'd be it'd be great to do in the workshop and figuring out all those details once we're planning out the logistics. Marie, I see some folks' audio activated, but I'm not sure who wants to speak next.
This is Janet again. I'll just say that for those of us who are still teaching, we are becoming, I think, very adept at the teaching remotely, and how to show videos and to show PowerPoints and to put people into breakout rooms and have discussions. It's a learning curve, but for me it's been quite successful. So I think that to do a workshop remotely, depending upon the platform that we used, would be very possible.
Awesome. Lauren is asking, would anyone volunteer to be on a workshop planning committee? Okay, awesome. I'm gonna call Lauren and put her on audio so she can talk here. Oh wait, Lauren?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just didn't want to be blabbing away. That's why I didn't put myself on before. But so am I on now?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to ask me something specific?
Yes. Well, you were suggesting a workshop planning committee.
Right. I think like more than since we have a kind of limited time frame, I want to kind of crowdsource some ideas, but I also find that the business meeting is a really good time to kind of pin people down for actually doing the work. And if we can say, okay, there's some good ideas in the works here, but who would be willing to do the work after this meeting to make it a reality, that I think would be a productive move forward.
Awesome. Colin is one person to volunteer.
But how will he have time if he's chairing the division? Just kidding. No, it's actually a good thing to be doing while you're chairing the division. Sorry. Poor Colin. So anyway, yeah, so could we maybe get some volunteers and then we don't have to spend a ton of time on the workshop? I don't want to determine how much time we spend on it, but I just a suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know we have a lot on the agenda.
Yeah, what do folks think?
Great. The volunteers are coming in. So what do you think, Lanisha? Do you want to have more of a conversation about the content, or should we put together a committee and move on?
I think we should put together a committee and move on. I know that Rebecca Lund has expressed interest in helping with the workshop.
Great.
And so it looks like we have a little committee.
Perfect.
Lauren, are you going to be part of that committee?
No.
Okay.
Just kidding. Yes, I'll do it. Yeah, that would be fine. I'd be happy to.
Okay, awesome. So we have a small committee: Colin, Rashmi, Lauren, myself, and Rebecca Lund.
And I really like the virtual thing. And Janet's point is a really good one. I mean, we have people all over the world, and granted, the time zones are not going to work out in our favor, but that's really the only impediment. So yeah, I really like it.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, I'll turn my mic off now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, so I'm happy that we got that committee formed, and that's very exciting for next year. I think it will knock it out of the park, whether it's in person and with a virtual component or solely a virtual component, solely a virtual workshop. I think in December, there's going to be a PhD IE workshop over in the UK, or gosh, I'm blanking on where it is, but I'm going to get to that towards the end of the meeting. So the next topic on our agenda was related to the award committees, and we have two, or one related to the student paper and one the Dorothy Smith Scholar Activist Award. And last year, Praxis was the recipient of this award. This year, we didn't have an award winner. And then for our student paper, June, the winner of this award is on the call. And I wanted to, before we jump into the details of who's going to serve on the committee and how that might function, I wanted to give June the opportunity so we can see June and hear from June, about the paper and about their work. And I know we've had June featured in the IE newsletter, but hi there.
Hello. Now I'm talking. Everybody hearing me? Hello. Am I talking?
Yes, yes, we can hear you, and everyone's saying congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's really my honor to receive this paper award, and it's so unfortunate that I was not able to meet all of you in person in this year's meeting. And I just want to express that 2017 Montreal SSSP meeting was the very first SSSP meeting I attended. And I went to almost every sessions in institutional ethnography. And since then, while I was developing my PhD project, the spirit of institutional ethnography has been a core part of my academic identity. And so I feel so grateful that my work was well received in the community, and I really look forward to contributing much more to the division in future. And needless to say, myself working for any organizing committee for a panel, and if there's any services I can offer, I'll be really happy to join for that work. I just started my postdoctoral fellowship work in Tufts University. And if there's any folks from Boston area here, also, I would love to chat. Thank you so much.
June, folks are asking where they can read your paper. It's published.
Yes.
It's out.
So my paper that was titled Invisibilizing Politics. That was published in Social Studies of Science. And that is about the study of scientific institution and how certain types of scientific projects were disposed and deleted during the Trump administration's harsh environmental science policies. So many sustainability sciences were left undone, and the new sort of environmental science topic that is more related to profit making was getting more support. And I did my institutional ethnography on how those processes were invisibilized and also legitimated by scientists working in current institution of science. So that is published in Social Studies of Science. I can copy and paste the link to the paper so that all of you can take a time to read it. It'll be really grateful. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So historically, the winner of this award, this awesome award, will serve on the student committee. Would that be okay?
Oh, sure. I'll be happy to do that. It's going to be my honor. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So great to hear from you, and congratulations. So we have one student paper member of the committee. Who else would like to join this? If you can either say in the chat box or hop on audio, that'd be great. And Marie, we're gonna pop the reference of the paper in the chat box here. Oh, yes. One person should chair that committee that works best to organize the work. So I haven't served on these committees. I think some folks emailed about expressing interest in joining the committee. I'll have to go back to these emails. But on this call, are any people interested in serving on or chairing the student award committee? And I think, can someone speak to the work that's involved with this? Because my understanding, you review the papers and you read and rank who should receive the award. But I don't know that, I don't have the experiential knowledge of it.
Lauren again. So I did chair it a couple of years back for a couple of years. And the reason we determined that someone should chair it is just so that you can send out the kind of emails that would sort of alert people as to deadlines and that kind of thing. But Right. So you would read the papers and evaluate them with the committee members. Typically, 3 people on the committee is a good number to have. And it's certainly not an onerous job. It's actually really interesting because you get to read people's work, graduate students' work. So, right. So I don't know, Lanisha, do you want more information about that? I mean, I would say it's not terribly time consuming. It's more just an issue of sort of keeping up with the deadlines and that kind of thing. But
no, that's good. Provide some insight into what's required, and then also for any folks who want to volunteer, they may have a sense of what it requires. Is there a protocol for if you are a student, you wouldn't be on this committee?
Well, I mean, I think that's debatable. I think students have served on the committee in the past, and that's great. It's a good idea to have someone who's not a student on the committee as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So, okay, Suzanne is doing the Activist Award. So if you can put in the chat box or pop on audio what interest you might have if you are interested in serving on one of these committees, that would be of great help. I think I'm going to join the student committee with June. And I feel like Megan Walsh from San Diego State University had emailed. She was on the committee last year. I'm going to add her to just double check. Awesome. Emery Campbell. Great. Now for the Activist Award, are there any other folks who, oh, March, great. I'm going to put March. Thank you, March. You're still on video here. I see you smiling at us. Awesome. So I think we have a pretty good list of folks on those committees. And thank you, Lauren, for reminding me to get the accountability piece there so we can take our marching orders forward. So without any more waiting, we're getting to the meat here of the annual, the next year's annual meeting. This year, so historically, the theme of the next year's conference is Revolutionary Sociology, Truth, Healing, Reparations, and Reconstruction. And SSSP requires us to have 3 division-sponsored sessions, and one of these sessions has to be focused on the program theme. We are also to co-sponsor papers with other divisions, and this year we need to put forth a virtual session that is a division sponsored one, and they really are emphasizing us to stress collaboration with community organizations and social movements, and making sure we include non-professional sociologists, researchers, and activists on panels and in paper discussions. One of the main ideas I had for next year's planning was to start with where we are. So we had really great, panels, papers planned, sessions planned, and we had tons of papers in those sessions. In fact, the social organization of knowledge, Lauren, you had to create a second sort of slot for that, a second session. So we had 2 versions of those, in addition to all our other sessions. And so I thought it would be a good idea to sort of start with those sessions and then maybe rework a couple of the ideas to be more relevant to this conference theme. But that way we don't have to start from scratch. And then there are some divisions that are very excited to work with us. Gender is one, educational problems is another, disability. They've expressed a lot of interest with us, especially around the issues of inclusion and access and representation. Health, society and mental health is another division that also expressed interest in working with us. So I don't think in terms of collaborations, we're going to have any issues. Everyone else has already had their division meetings, so they know what the ideas that they have. But just as a point, at the conference, when we decide, when we have our business meeting and the chair takes the ideas into this other meeting with all of the other chairs to find ways to collaborate and do co-sponsored sessions, that happens in person. It's kind of like a speed dating experience, and you can see them and you're excitedly talking about the ideas and getting commitments from the other division chairs. This year we don't have that experience, and our committee meetings were really focused on the program, the business of everything. So how these sessions, these co-sponsored sessions are going to come to be is through a Slack channel that I created and am getting all the chairs in. So there's some activity there, and then there's a lot of activity via email, but none of the other divisions have concrete plans for their sessions for next year. They have some ideas for titles. They have some ideas for for who they might go with for a co-sponsorship. But my primary suggestion is let's keep the sessions that we had for 2020, see how we might work them for 2021, and go from there. I don't know what other folks think about this idea. But that was the strongest idea I have about organizing next year's conference, the sessions. Lauren is saying that she would like to organize a social organization of knowledge session. So I'll say a little bit more about what the types of sessions are. The regular sessions are composed of 4 papers and there's a discussant, or 5 papers without a discussant. There's also a papers in the round, which we typically don't do, but there's these round tables in the same room, and each round table has 4 papers with discussant. They're discouraging the papers in the round for virtual meetings because that might be hard to coordinate. But I guess you could do it as breakout rooms. I'm not sure. There's also critical dialogue. These are the short 5-minute presentations by up to 8 authors. And this format is strongly encouraged by the SSSP main office. So I'll pause to allow folks to throw out any ideas that they might have. Janet saying that revolutionary sociology, truth hearing, reparations, and reconstruction is next year's conference theme.
Hi everyone, it's Colin here. Lanisha, I'm just seeing from your slide that's titled Sessions from 2020 that I'm signed up to organize one of the critical dialogues, and I think that topic of putting hope into practice using IE to make real change was the sort of thematic one from what was going to be this year's conference. So to kind of move things forward, I could, we would have to change the title to reflect this year's themes, but I could organize that critical dialogue if that would be helpful.
Oh, awesome. Do you have any ideas for title?
I'm just seeing Janet's suggestion here that I thank you, Janet, for providing those conference themes. But I'll sit with that for a second, share anything that I come up with in the chat box, or just forward it to you after.
Awesome. Okay. Lauren's asking me which. Lauren, I'm not sure about your question. Do you know which sessions were thematic from last year? I think we just had the one that Colin just mentioned. Everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had reflexivity and the self and institutional ethnography, the social organization of knowledge twice, building pathways for social justice, investigations into educational institutions with educational problems. Educational problems, by the way, asked us if we wanted to do a panel on COVID-19 and education. I don't know. I'll have to circle back with them, but I know that the main focus is like how folks are, coping during the pandemic, or what the response has been in an educational context. And since we had the last newsletter focused a lot on the pandemic and research, i.e. research related to that, I think that's why they reached out to us. So that was one idea with educational problems. Last year we had disability. We had a panel with disability and media inclusion, access, and representation. We had health services and health policies transforming institutions, and using IE as a tool for community change, institutional ethnography, social work, and social welfare, inverting parent-child care, new opportunities for social problems theorizing, and that was it. So I think, Lauren, does that answer your question?
They go really well with the theme for next year as well. So I don't think this would be a huge problem to just kind of shift things to next year and ask if the organizers would still be willing to organize.
Someone asked, in terms of collaboration, is there a possibility to work with educational problems and mothering for schooling COVID-19? Oh, that's a really great question. I will, what if other folks think of that, and I can ask them. Mothering for schooling. Thanks, Rashmi. So were there any other ideas that aren't captured in this PowerPoint that Colin, thank you for letting me know that you got it. In the handout section, there's the PowerPoint that I'm not able to show you because I can't share my screen for some odd reason. But essentially the previous year's sessions are there, or sorry, previous years. I keep saying previous year, 2020, we're still in 2020. I clearly want to fast forward and jump into another reality. But the sessions from 2020 that were canceled are on slides 14 and 15 in the deck that's in the handout section. Janet Rankin is saying that she would like to talk to Kathy and collaborate on the one she was organizing about health and reconstruction. And Gina, you'd be interested in working with educational problems on that session? Awesome. So I'm gonna put you down, Gina. And Rashmi, if educational problems is interested in this mothering for schooling with COVID, would you be interested in working to organizing that session, working with Gina and whoever else might be from educational problems?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Organizers. Janet Rankin. And is there anyone else that has some interest in addition to Lauren and Colin, in organizing a session?
My comment in the chat box, it's Cheryl.
Okay, Cheryl.
I have an idea for a session. May not fit if all the other sessions from what would have been this year are rolled over into next year. So I could save it till 2022, I guess it would be. But picking up on the ideas of truth, healing, and I would say reconciliation rather than reparations, I'm interested in a session that would explore how IE has helped advance projects of decolonization by indigenous peoples. So in terms of the question in the literature about sociology for what, it would be to support decolonization and the reclaiming by indigenous peoples of their culture and their history and their political systems and their land, etc. And for whom, obviously, the beneficiary would be indigenous people. So I wanted to put the focus on the accomplishment of IE with respect to the advancement of decolonization, and that was my suggestion.
Awesome. Okay. Accomplishment of IE. What would you kind of call that, I guess, as an idea? I don't think that all the co-sponsored ones work this time.
IE in support of decolonization.
IE in support of decolonization. Wow, that's awesome.
Trying to go international, it may appeal to researchers in other countries besides North America.
Mm-hmm. Would you be interested in organizing papers on that session, related to that session? And did you envision it as a paper or as a critical dialogue or as?
Really contemplated the sort of international or virtual opportunities in connection with this one. I guess I'm saying I'd be open to organizing in whatever way works for the most people.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Henry, do you want to come on audio to explain your idea about IE and the epistemologies of the South? And which South? Oh, if you scroll over Dorothy's face, there should be a, sorry, Dorothy. If you scroll over her picture, there should be a mic, like a mic looking icon, and you should be able to click that to turn it on. I'm just gonna see if you are. Let me know if you're having any challenges there, but you should be able to do that. So I'm very curious about this IE and the epistemologies of the South. Lauren or someone else, can you sort of suggest how you were able to find the mic if you weren't able to see it right away?
Dorothy's face. Poor Dorothy. But yeah, so yeah.
I even found a. Okay, hi there. This is Henry. Over the couple events that I have attended, we discussed, I remember, if we can take into consideration when we were talking about the colonizations. Latin America is moving in. I'm trying to organize some of the people who have written Spanish regarding institutional ethnography. And the main issue over is the epistemology of the South. Interested in coloniality of power, coloniality of being, coloniality of knowledge. My argument is, yes, institutional knowledge can be a method of inquiry in order to explore and make visible the different forms of coloniality of power. So that's the idea.
And
I don't know if it's possible for next year or in 2 years. I don't know, but I would like to explore that. Really, I would like to explore that. I remain American.
Oh, Henry?
Yes?
You cut out at IE remains.
Very Euro-North American centric. I really would like to bring that in the South, you know. I see tremendous potential. So that's my interest. I don't know if it will be possible. I don't know. What do you think?
I wanted to, I didn't assume a meaning of the South, but I think that, you know, we'll have to be more pointed in that title, because I can see how if you're in the US, you think of the South, you think of a geographic area that's, the global South. Yeah, maybe we can say global South.
Yep. When we talk about the epistemologies of the South, we don't mean the United States. That is the problem.
Yep.
Big North American centric, and I keep telling everybody there is more countries than North America and Europe in terms of production of knowledge. So that's the interest in general, global South.
IE and the epistemologies of the global South. I love this. What do other people think? Lauren, I see you in there. Henry, I don't know if you see the chat box, but people are very excited about this idea. And one question I have is, will you be willing to organize the papers in that session?
Sure, that would be. I'll connect with you and let me how to organize it. The last one I organized was several years ago, so okay. I would like to, really would love to. Actually.
Okay, perfect.
That's not me.
No, it's me. So, okay, our last, so I have these ideas. I have, Lauren, I wanted to call on you again because I think you were saying something in the chat box about these sessions not needing to be updated. I didn't understand what you meant there.
Sorry, no, I was just thinking, I was looking at your slides and a lot of them would really work. The problem I think that we would run into, I think what we should do based on past experience is to have a range of ideas and people who are willing to organize. So then if it doesn't work out, when you get in touch with some of the other divisions to see for the co-sponsored sessions, then it's okay. But if it does work out, then that's great. Because we had some really specific ones that were co-sponsored sessions from last time that were supposed to go this year. And I don't know that those would be necessarily still an option. So it's great to have these new ideas and to have more than we actually need. But I think we can pretty much make anything work if there's somebody who's willing to organize it.
Oh, understood. Okay. Awesome. I think we have this item covered. I think the two new hot ideas, IE in support of decolonization and IE and the epistemologies of the global South. Did I miss anything? I want to make sure we got those two new ideas. Oh, and also Rashmi's idea for mothering. I don't have a title, Rashmi. Did you want to say just a title? Like an operating title to sort of capture the idea succinctly. I think I have mothering for schooling during the pandemic, but I don't know if that's right. Oh, mothering work in COVID-19, but okay, got you. Okay. Okay, so we have those 3 ideas, and then we have folks who would be interested in organizing the sessions. And we have a list of ideas from this year's canceled meeting, and I think we'll take it from there. I feel complete in terms of the ideas and having enough to sort of collaborate with the other division heads. There are 23 divisions now, and there's a lot of interest from a few of the newer ones with us. And disability, I think, presents a great opportunity for us to work with them, especially Marge's work. And also I'm thinking about the implications for our work and folks who are often invisible and not thought of. And I had a really great connection with the disability chair last year, and they're very much in alignment with IE work, and they know about IE. So I think that's a really good potential moving forward. Blurred boundaries, mothering work and schooling during COVID-19. Okay, so I have those ideas. I have the people. Last order of business before we are going about the rest of our Saturday evening is just around any announcements or other things or last thoughts that people want to bring up. I did want to mention a few things that are happening that's exciting for IE. Naomi Nichols is speaking at the Social Sciences Week in Australia on September 9th. In my follow-up email, I will give the slides and also put these links in here. There's a digital PhD course that's happening December 7th and 8th. The Nordic IEers are really active, and they're having a network meeting January in 2021. The ISA Forum of Sociology is in February, and then there's a new IE Facebook group that European scholars put together, European and UK folks, and we have an IE students Facebook group. So now there are 2 Facebook groups that IEers can join. It's very active. Folks post and respond. There are about 320 folks on the IE students Facebook group, and over 100, I think, on the European IE Facebook group. So very active happenings in IE land. And I think that's the end of my announcements. I'll open the floor for other folks to announce things and speak. So were there any other announcements? Oh, Rashmi is saying institutional ethnography on Twitter. We met on Twitter. There's a very active hashtag academic chatter, academic Twitter group of scholars in all fields. And I think there are some IEers in that academic Twitter land. So Lauren wants to speak about something. Lauren?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just wanted to announce that SSSP is trying to increase membership. And I know that this is a huge issue right now because a lot of campuses or institutions are not paying for travel and memberships and that kind of thing. So we had talked about doing a gifting of graduate student memberships. And I don't know, we can kind of organize this in another format, but so some of us have offered to gift the graduate student membership. So we need a way of sort of streamlining that to see who would like to take advantage of getting the gifted memberships, but also if other people would be willing to help support that. And part of the idea is to get grad students involved in SSSP and kind of make sure that everybody has access to the resources and that kind of thing. But I don't know how to coordinate this. Yeah, so Gina's point's a good one too. I mean, so those of us who are still employed are willing to help fork over some of our resources to help other people continue their memberships.
Yeah, I thought it was the membership has been reduced. Fee has been reduced for students to $33 annually. I thought it was just for students, but actually it's for students and activists, folks who work in do community work and who are activists. That price is applied to as well, who aren't just grad students.
Things I wanted to say, they're not so much about happenings, but I think they're important.
Yeah.
One is, I think that the edited volume that Paul and Suzanne have edited is a really important accomplishment, and I am hoping that the division will have some way of promoting that book once it gets published. And people who have faculty positions in universities should be emailing their librarians to order that book for their university collections. And I hope that there will be other ways to promote that book, possibly somehow through SSSP activities. And the other thing is the book that Dorothy mentioned at the outset is being published as part of a institutional ethnography series at the University of Toronto Press, which I'm the editor for. And the board of that series includes Deborah Talbot, Marge, Liza, and Frank Wang. And my hope, our collective hope, is that that will become a place for people to publish book-length manuscripts in IE. There's some challenges with respect to non-Canadian authors, but there may be certain ways around that. So if people are interested in that as a publication venue, they should contact me. Thanks. Can you give us an update on when you hope the edited collection will be published?
December 2020. Oh, sorry.
By the end of this year, probably sometime in December or January. So yeah, things are moving along. It's out of our hands now. It's mostly the publishers at this point.
Like I know it won't coincide with the publication date, but with some type of a launch through SSSP or through SSSP and the ISA, some type of virtual thing or some way of promoting the book?
Well, there probably is, but I just haven't thought that far ahead yet. Because I'm sure the publisher would love to, see something like that occur. But we haven't really worked with them about that yet. We're still, as I said, still waiting to see the page proofs and that sort of thing.
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Paul, remember for the European network, they have asked us to give a presentation in, it's going to be a virtual presentation, and it is sometime in May. She said April, I think, was when they were thinking about doing this, and we'll let everyone know.
Awesome. Marge, you had an idea about the celebration of the book at the conference. Did you want to say more about that? You're on audio if you.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't have a clear idea. I actually had thought of mentioning that as even a session idea, but I didn't think of it when we were talking about sessions. So that would be a possibility, or, maybe organizing a little reception event kind of on the side, or I don't know. It just seems like we ought to do something because it's a wonderful accomplishment and it will be very exciting.
So I did the 20. Oh, Cheryl is suggesting something. Cheryl, did you want to say more about your idea? I think there's
Oh, the workshop. That
some
would be good.
developments.
Say other than recognizing the great educational value of the book, I'm just wondering if somehow it can be leveraged as part of the workshop. Sorry to use that word, leveraged.
Dialogue of authors. Suzanne, do you want to hop on?
Marge's idea, and maybe Cheryl could be part of the workshop, but there could be people who contributed to the volume to be included in talking about their experience with IE and things like that. That might be a possibility, a kind of dialogue among the various authors. There are a number of them, however, so it would have to be selective. Yes, a critical dialogue section. Lauren's just saying that, something like that.
Yeah, I think it could be a dialogue of authors could be interesting, and it could also be interesting to have people kind of step back and look at the book as a whole. I mean, as one of the authors, I'm very curious to see what all is in there. And, it'll be a great chance to kind of see a big landscape of what people have written about.
Should we? Sorry, go ahead.
I like that. I like that idea that, bringing together the various authors, and that final section of the book brings together people who are, opening up IE by bringing in other kind of modes of inquiry. And some of the debates that exist both inside and outside institutional ethnography are discussed. And so it brings forth some thoughtful reflection on, both the possibilities or the dimensions of IE2.
So this is Marge. It seems to me that depending on what else develops and where we have room, it could either be organized as a session or organized within the workshop, maybe. Though I guess it would be better for the book to do it as a session, because then other people in the meeting would be exposed to it.
So if we did it as a critical dialogue session, there could be up to 8 presenters, and what would the working title or notion be? Because I want to make sure I get it on the in the program. Paul or Suzanne? you have any ideas for like a working title?
Really not at the moment. I'm thinking about it, but I'm coming up blank at the moment.
Okay. Okay, I'll put a placeholder there. Janet is asking if this would be a good idea for the virtual session. I think I had, because Rebecca had reached out about social organization of knowledge. I had that one as idea for a virtual session, and it's open. But I need to get clarification on how many virtual sessions we can have. I think we can have more than one, but they seem to suggest only one. So, Janet, did you want to say more about this idea for a virtual session?
Wondered if maybe the virtual sessions had more flexibility so that we could get more than one. So if we get pushed out of the other, the other co-sponsored sessions, if everybody's dance cards are already full, then a way to get it as part of the standard programming might be to get it into a virtual or a hybrid session, right? Some people could Zoom in and other people could be there in person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Marie, the session length, as far as I understand it, is the same across all of the sessions. So, is it safe to say that we can do this as put a placeholder for it as a critical dialogue, and then also take it up in the committee for the workshop as an idea, so that maybe we can have both, because maybe a really awesome discussion happens in the critical dialogue that then can continue in the workshop, and folks can continue to learn there. Eric is suggesting something in the chat box. Select a few central questions and things that run through a number of different.
One of the problems with an edited collection is that there are different contributions and people are writing about different things. So to create a sense of cohesion or unity to that kind of critical dialogue session, we could select a few key central questions or debates that run through a variety of different chapters, and that the people who are presenting on the panel could speak to those issues. So it wasn't just about people talking about their individual chapter, for example, which would create a bit of a more dialogue and conversational format.
Mm-hmm. So perhaps I'll, circle back with you folks offline, Paul, Suzanne, and Eric, just so that we can get a sense of what this will be title-wise. I take it that who would organize this critical dialogue session? Would it be Paul or Eric? Or someone else? So Paul and Suzanne, okay. Got it. Okay. Were there any additional announcements? Business? Dorothy, did you want to say any final words here?
I want to just that I'm very impressed with what you're putting together for next year. Wish I could be there, but unfortunately, past 90, I don't get any traveling health insurance, so I can't risk traveling to the States. but it sounds like a great session, and I hope that I may be able to connect with it in some ways, at least hear about it, because it sounds like it's going to be quite exciting. And as I say, I wish I could be there. So have a great one.
Awesome. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.